Hello. Um, Today I'm going to make some Doctor Who fan art based on an audio some of you might already be familiar with. It's called Scherzo. It was published by Big Finish in 2003. So it's my favorite audio they made. I'd say so far, but I I haven't really listened to a lot of things they made recently. I'm super late on their latest releases. I still haven't finished listening to Ravenous. Ravenous. I'm not sure how to you pronounce it. I'm sorry because as usual, yeah. Welcome to Johannes can't speak English to save their life. Anyway, I have a friend who has a YouTube channel. It's called Dr. Key. It's a French YouTube channel, and it's very recent. And so far, he's been making videos about audios with mostly the Eighth Doctor, and also comics. The point is to make little reviews and summaries for French fans who don't really have access to these audios, because there's for some of them there's some kind of language barrier going on. Of course, we all learn English in school, but it can be difficult to follow if you're not very fluent in English. So, yeah. And the main problem he stumbled upon very quickly was that it's really difficult to illustrate, to find something to put as a background for your videos on YouTube when you're talking about audios, because very obviously the media is doesn't have pictures. I mean, it's kind of an obvious thing to say, but it's a real problem when you're a YouTuber. Sorry again. And he started like a year or so ago, and at some point he was like, "Yo, can I use your drawings, your fan arts, to put in my videos?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course." And after he did it once or twice, I was like, there's a lot of audios I could use an excuse to draw more fan art of. That would be a good motivation. And what you say, I could make more fan art for your videos based on the one you're gonna review next. And yeah, he said yes. And I'm just doing it for free because making more people how can I say this? I want more people to discover the audios, especially in the French fandom. the not just the Eighth Doctor one, but he's an Eighth fan, I'm an Eighth fan, so we've started there, obviously. That's yeah. And yeah, I've done a couple of illustrations for him so far, and as you're about to see, it's not a very complex illustrations. I'm not spending hours upon hours on them, but I still like making them, and as I understand, people apparently like them. I've seen some positive. His videos don't receive a lot of comments so far, unfortunately, because they've been they got better and better. The first ones were a bit experimental, let's say. He didn't really know how to film things. He had a really dumb, how do you say it, wig to make fun of McGann's wig from the movie, and he's got his own little arc of sorts, because after a few videos he's not using the wig anymore, and the wig tries to come back to get revenge on him. And yeah, the first videos, they're not the best, but after a while they got really good, and I really enjoy them. I really hope he can make more, and yeah, he's gonna start his second season of videos. He's already started, but not he's not talking about audios yet. He's done a couple of comics, and I don't like the shape here. And yeah, he stopped with Zagreus last time. So yeah, it's gonna be divergent universe now, and I think that's really cool, because it contains both my favorite audio and my least favorite audio ever. And get this, they are back to back. And at first, when that happened, I was like, yeah, no, maybe I hate this one because it's right after this really, really good one, this incredible story, and right after it, there's this awful, awful thing. But no, it's not the reason. The reason is the second one really sucks. And yeah, um, and after that, there's another really, really good story, and then a really mediocre one. And basically, the entire arc has the lowest lows and the highest highs you can imagine. It's really weird. So, I'm drawing Scherzo fan art. I'm pretty sure if you've clicked on this video, you're a Doctor Who fan. But in any case, if you aren't, I'm gonna talk about it for a bit because for once I have a lot of video to film on my memory card. So I think we can get pretty far in the drawing before the memory is full. Which is good because I like going with the flow instead of stopping. So anyway, as usual, I'm not talking about what I'm doing because it's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. If you want to know, this is a Faber-Castell pit pen. It's very good for line art. But other than that, I don't have anything to say. So, in the previous story, Zagreus, which is very, very, very long, it's an anniversary story. A lot of things happen in it. The important part, the relevant part, is that the Doctor was contaminated by some sort of eldritch entity called Zagreus, and became the champion of a force that wants to destroy the web of time, and called anti-time. And after the story ends, Zagreus is no longer a threat because it's basically how can I say, imprisoned inside of his head, sort of, and he gets exiled in a universe where time doesn't work the same way. So if Zagreus gets out, it's not a problem there because the web of time in the normal universe won't be destroyed. It's weird, but it's Doctor Who, you know. It's very, very high concept stuff a lot of time. So yeah, just bear with me. And he's like, yeah, at that point he's got a very dark mindset, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go there and die there, and that's that. But Charlie is having none of it, and she stays aboard the TARDIS and goes there with him. And he's not very happy about that because he made this sacrifice to protect the universe, but also to protect her. And now she's here, so it doesn't invalidate what he did exactly, but he's not happy about that. And when they exit the TARDIS, now at first they're confined in the TARDIS, and they quickly notice it's being eaten by the new universe. It's disappearing because it works on physics that don't exist in the way they exist in our universe, in this new universe. And the TARDIS is shrinking. Blackness is consuming it. And the Doctor wants to go down with the ship, basically. He's very, very depressed at that point. And Charlie is like, no, we can try to get out. And they argue for a bit, and he tries to stay in the dark, but he's so terrified, he ends up grabbing her hand, and they go outside just before the TARDIS disappears. The problem is the place where they are outside is extremely bright. They perceive it as extremely bright because their eyes are not made to perceive it, really. And basically, they are now without a TARDIS in a place where they can't see anything. They don't know where they're going. They're walking on something. They don't know where they're going, but they're walking. And basically, it's kind of brilliant because the character, when you listen to an audio, the characters, they only exist in your ears. And in that place, they only exist as their voices, technically, because they can only hear each other. And for a while, they know they also know they're holding each other's hands, but that's about it. That's the only thing that's completely real for them and understandable for them in this world. And it's kind of terrifying for them and for us too, because we don't know what's gonna happen to them. Are they gonna survive? Are they gonna live like that? How long are they going to live like that? Obviously, at some degree, we know it's just a story, and the story of Doctor Who can't end there. There's always going to be something after that, but we don't know how they can get out of this situation. It's really an extreme situation, and it's way more extreme than your usual Doctor Who thing with an alien invasion or a new planet or a strange menace from the dawn of time. That's our heroes being in a place where they can't understand anything, interact with anything, and the longer it gets, the worse it gets for various reasons. And it's kind of, as I said, it's kind of brilliant because it reduces them to their voices. So it's kind of the the ultimate audio in that sense, because you can't really get more extreme with the concept of pure audio. The characters literally only exist as voices that you're listening to, and they're listening to each other. And I think that's really, as a meta thing, I think it's really brilliant. But it also works on a second level. If it was only meta, it would be really interesting, but that's about it. But no, it also works on another level, and that other level is that because they are in this horrible situation, very stressful, really weird, they're they are really in panic mode, especially at first, and it kind of brings out the worst in them. Not entirely, but it's kind of the idea. And they have really intense emotional conversations in this place about their relationship, about life and death, about really really heavy topics. All the while, thinking they're gonna die in this place, and that's already very intense before they realize they're not alone. There's something else here, and that something else is talking to us using their own voices. it's repeating things they said previously and noises they made. And I'm not gonna spoil everything, but basically I'm drawing this creature. It doesn't really have a name. They name it the sound creature in the story. And yeah, there's a couple of jump scares in this audio, pretty intense ones as well. You think audio jump scares wouldn't be so bad, but they are. Trust me, if you haven't listened to this audio before, they are. um, Nobody scares no less nowadays, a lot less so nowadays, but a few years ago, Scherzo was kind of a meme on Doctor Who Tumblr, on the Classic Who Tumblr, and people who constantly make jokes about it, and how terrifying it was. And so people were kind of prepared when they listened to it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's okay. It's that one. Okay, okay. I'm gonna brace myself. I'm gonna be ready." There's jump scares. There's really heavy topics. There's discussions of death, of relationships, of suicide. It gets really heavy, and yeah, people were like, "I'm ready now." When I listened to it, things were not like that, and nobody told me what I was signing for. And at that point, I was listening to audios, mostly in two occasions. When I was jogging, because at the time I was starting to run again. My legs were getting better. And so first, yeah, I was listening to them while jogging. Sometimes listening to them while I was on the train to go to work. And the third thing was listening to them before sleeping. Just try to guess which one it was for this audio. So yeah, uh, I associate of in my head I associate Sword of Orion with a long boring bus ride that became a lot more interesting with escapism, thanks to Sword of Orion, which makes me like this audio in ways, appreciate this audio in ways that a lot of people don't. And I associate Scherzo with staring at the ceiling until about 3 or 4 a.m., wondering what's the point of living, and being terrified. The ending is really beautiful. It's really good, but it's very intense. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a story about sensory deprivation, and paradoxically or ironically, I'm not sure which one I should use, which word I should use. Paradoxically, it's about as extreme as it can get, feelings wise. At some point, Mr. Sherman was on was on Tumblr at the time I listened to it, and he was like, I can't believe how popular it got, because at the time people were like, this is the most boring audio ever. It was apparently received with indifference, which I can't understand because it's so intense. I mean, I would understand if people really disliked it, but you can't feel nothing about this. I have no idea how you can listen to this story and feel apathy. It's so strange to me. The sound creature um, is going to have words in it. I'm not exactly sure which ones yet. Mm. How long have we left? Oh, 8 minutes. that's that's the funniest number of minutes it could have. um, okay. One of the reasons I adored Heaven Sent in Series 10 was how the kind of themes in it were very similar to themes from Scherzo. It was obviously a very different story, but some very intense themes of life and death and suicide and trying to break from a loop made of your own suffering, basically, and depression. And that there are themes that you can find both in Heaven Sent and Scherzo. And as you can probably guess, I love Heaven Sent. I know it's a cliche to say Heaven Sent is a great episode, but it really is. And basically, I know it's a cliche by that point, but it's my favorite TV story. I'm gonna stop there because of the noise. And we're back. Off camera, I fixed some details, like this shoulder wasn't right, and I added some stuff the sound creature says. And I'm gonna draw the sound creature, and now I'm gonna use these pens, felt tip pens, and I'm gonna add some shapes and colors. I've been using these kind of pens since I was 9 or 10. I've never bought any other types of pens for this kind of things. And one thing I liked to do when I was a kid was put colors that like each other together, and that's the order for these ones. That's the order they like. And now you're gonna say, how do you draw a sound creature? And the answer is you don't. It's sound. You can't draw sound. But as some of you might know, I have synesthesia. I have sound color synesthesia and a very limited phoneme color synesthesia. And basically the simple version is I can see music with my ears. Some people think synesthesia of that sort is seeing music with your eyes while listening to it, but no, you see the shapes and colors of the sounds with your ears. It's the same thing. Sounds and colors are the same. When you perceive sounds, they have a color. I'm not sure if that's a good explanation or not, but that's the only one I can give. Imagine my surprise when I was like, I learned this very, very late. I think I was 21 or 22 when I learned that other people weren't always experiencing life like this. And I didn't get it. I was like, no, how does that work? What's the point of listening to music if you don't see it? If it's just noise? And the person who explained it to me was like, no, it's not noise. It's very cool. I mean, noises have colors and shapes too, but what I'm trying to say is the world as I experience it doesn't seem to be how the world is for most people, and that's a very, very confusing thing. Like, how do you know which songs go with each other? How do you know how to pair a song with a drawing, with the mood? How do you make playlists? How do you, I don't know. I'm not bitter exactly. I just want to understand how it works for other people. Anyway, the point is, sounds have shapes and colors. And this weird noise the TARDIS makes when it appears had these little things like that, expanding and contracting things like that, starting with a circle and expanding, like breathing. I know it's often described as a groaning sound, but it's like, it looks like something breathing to me. Anyway, one of the sounds the sound creature uses to communicate is the sound of the TARDIS, because it's the first noise they made when arriving. The sound of the TARDIS arriving and taking off was the first sound introduced in this new place. The sound creature copies it. So it's the sound of the TARDIS is one of the sounds it uses to communicate. Usually it uses it to announce it's here. Like, hello friends, I'm here. Do you want to eat stuff? Do you want to sing some songs? Do you want to do anything? And yeah, it uses the sound of the TARDIS to do that. It's a bit creepy, but it's pretty cool. So I'm using it partly to represent the creature. So what I'm drawing right now is the sound of the TARDIS, basically, to me. Another thing you have to understand with synesthesia is people don't experience the same sort of synesthesia. It's even more baffling to me. At first I was like, Oh, okay, so some people see things like that and some other don't. So if I talk to someone who's like me, they're gonna agree this song is blue, this song is red, this voice looks like chalk on the blackboard, this one looks like mint syrup in the blue sea and stuff. But no, that's not how it works either, because um, everyone has, let's say, different wiring, and for someone, a song is gonna be very green, the greenest song ever, and you're gonna ask me, and I'm gonna be like, what? Isn't it orange? It's an orange song, isn't it? And yeah, I mean, it's more interesting that way. It means we all see different things in the same songs and noises, and the world is more interesting that way, full of different things to experience in various ways. Brains are fascinating things, which must mean that people who don't experience synesthesia must also experience music in different ways. I can't guess how they experience it beyond this is good, this is bad. I have awful taste in music. Awful. I, for example, I love dance music from the 90s. And yeah, that's, you know, Hadaway? What is Love? I adore this song. Yeah, so I have terrible taste. And if everyone sees different things in music, that would explain why some people will like a song and some other are like, are you kidding me? This is garbage. And one of the first times I really understood the difference between different people with synesthesia, with sound color synesthesia like me, it happened at a convention. It's called Japan Expo. It happens once a year in France, obviously not in 2020 because reasons. But yeah, once a year usually. And I haven't been to one of them in years because I used to read a lot of manga, and also the Comic Con happened at the very same place at the very same time. So it was two conventions for the price of one, which was really, really cool. But after a few years, Comic Con stopped happening at the same time as Japan Expo, and so I stopped going there, which is kind of sad because it was really fun. But yes, I stopped, and at one of these uh, Japan Expos, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which one. It was years ago, so maybe it was 2008 or 9. I don't know. I'm afraid I'm saying something stupid there. I can't remember the date, but it was 10 years ago or so. Anyway, there was a concert of Akira Yamaoka, and if you don't know, Yamaoka is the guy who made the music for nearly all the Silent Hill games, and I love Silent Hill. If you weren't aware of that, and he was in concert, and I was really excited. And the funniest thing, the funniest part is wasn't even aware of that when I went to the Japan Expo and we saw the thing saying, "Oh yeah, Yamaoka is in concert in this hall at this hour," and I was super excited. Anyway, I was there with a friend, and this friend had the same thing as me, synesthesia, sound to color synesthesia. And at some point, there was a song we really, really liked, and I was like, because I was curious, I had only found out about synesthesia and that it was a thing very recently at the time, and I was curious, and I said, "So, what color is this song for you?" And to me, this song was very, very red, the reddest song possible. And she went, "Oh yeah, it's pale pink, maybe kind of brown with a texture." And I was like, "Yeah, that's texture, but I see it as very red." And it wasn't really an argument, but we were both like, "What?" She looked like she was thinking they're entitled to their opinion, but it's dumb. I was like, "Okay, I can say I agree with you, but if you think it's pink, it's pink." Speaking of pink, we're gonna start here and make some more waves of wheezing, groaning sounds. there's I really like it when there's attempt attempts to describe the noise of the TARDIS in other terms than wheezing, groaning sound. And there's a nice Doctor adventure in the books called Eater of Wasps. And yeah, the title is literal. And there's a really terrible person, let's be real, at the start of the book, who I think she's called Miss Havers or Havers, I'm not sure. And she describes the sound of the TARDIS like a rather poor cow. And I thought that was really funny. I used to draw stuff like that with a lot of colors and just colors. As a kid, I would spend hours filling entire pages like that. It was basically steaming. I'm not using it that often these days. I used to be, I'm a lot calmer now, but I used to be a very, very angry person. And my main outlet for this rage was drawing, obviously. but it was more specifically drawing on very abstract shapes with a black pen on pages that I would usually trash afterwards, but I kept a few of them, one or two. Very, very, very large pages, and I would call them anger pages. And yeah, I would doodle on them, and when they were complete, I would trash them usually. And I never finished the last one, which started maybe 10 years ago. I don't know, I'm not sure. But it's still on my desk, just in case I have to. I feel really angry. And yeah, that's the last anger page I never finished, but it looked like this. So every time I was angry, I would draw shapes until I wasn't angry anymore. That was one session, that was another one, that's one, that's another one, and so on and so on. That's an anger page. Gonna put it back. It's behind my computer screen, just in case. But I haven't drawn in it in a while. I think it's in times of very, very, very intense anger that I use it, and it hasn't happened in ages. I fear I haven't used enough pale blue in this, but it's okay. Okay, so we are nearly finished. I'm gonna add some Posca here and there to give a bit of volume to these characters, and maybe to the shapes. I'm not sure yet, but could be cool. Okay. I know there's an intense debate about the color of 8's coats in some circles. Is it brown? Is it black? Is it dark blue? Is it dark green? Apparently people settled on dark green, bottle green. It's not really important, but some people are really passionate about that. Anyway, what is left to say? I really like this audio, you already know that. I would recommend you watch my friend's video on the Dr. Key channel, but it's gonna be in French, like all his other videos, so I can't. I mean, I won't blame you if you don't speak French, if you are not really well, if you don't watch them, because without subtitles it's really, really difficult if you don't know the language. I won't blame you. Look at that, and it turns out I decided to add Posca to the shapes after all. I was like, I'm gonna decide later, but I was talking and I did without thinking about it. So the thing with these felt tip pens and Posca is that the color of the pen tends to appear under the Posca. So if I put Posca over this purple, instead of white Posca, it's gonna appear like light purple, and so it's really pretty. It's a nice effect, I like it. So yeah, I'm not gonna blame you if you don't watch his video, but if you're a French speaker and if you like Doctor Who videos, I really recommend it because the guy is really funny. And his recent videos are really good. The first ones I'm not gonna really recommend them, but the newest ones are really great. And it's okay, we are learning. I know my videos suck, and I'm gonna get better later. And when I'm gonna be better at them, I'm not gonna recommend my first ones either. But yeah, we all have to start somewhere. And his videos got really good really fast, so kudos to him. What is there left to say? Robert Sherman audio stories. I haven't listened to absolutely all of them. I think there's one or two I haven't listened to yet. There's one with Frobisher I'm sure I haven't listened to. I think I listened to all his main range stuff. But there's recurring themes in them and they are themes that really resonate with me, and it's strange because the Holy Terror, Chimes of Midnight, and Scherzo, from a certain point of view, kind of look like the same kind of story, but with different scopes. And it's all about it centers on one or two people who are working with really complex issues, and mostly depression and some kind of suicidal tendency or self-destructive tendencies, and accidentally or on purpose creating some sort of personal hell or personal tormentor for themselves, and in the end managing to overcome that self-made enemy or tormentor, or to get out of the space the hell they created for themselves. That's a very specific theme, and if you noticed, because I said earlier that I really liked Silent Hill, this is an extremely Silent Hillish theme. Extremely so, and that's no wonder I really love this author's stories, and they resonate so much with me. It's the kind of stuff I love in the first place. And I've seen a lot of people love his stories, and Chimes has often been cited as the best Doctor Who audio. I'm not sure it's the best audio exactly, but it's extremely good, so I'm not gonna pretend it's not deserved or anything. It's very, very good. It deserved every kudos it got over the years. I'm gonna do the second line art and we're gonna be finished. I'm gonna sign it, and we're the 21st September. Do you remember? for the old Earth, Wind and Fire. What was I saying? Yes, Chimes of Midnight. Deserved everything it ever got over the years. And but one of the negative things I've seen people saying about Sherman's audio is that it was kind of several versions of the same story, as I just said. The thing is, I don't mind. As you can probably tell, I mean, by all means, give me as many stories about suicidal people or self-destructive people trying to overcome their apathy and sadness and negative feelings. It's very cathartic. Just like I happily welcomed Silent Hill Downpour when it was made, and some people were like, "Stop making new Silent Hills if they're gonna be mediocre like that. Put more effort into them." And I didn't care. I played it anyway, and I'm not gonna say I loved it, but I'm glad I played it. I'm glad it was a part of my life. I think the point I'm trying to make is it's therapeutic to hear characters overcoming such negative feelings and talking about such heavy topics, and in the same way, it's also therapeutic to play a character who's got some kind of problems and playing them in a way that help them overcome these problems and dealing with these feelings and dealing with their past and their trauma. And of course some games are gonna look alike after a while, because the formula gets stale. But of course there's always gonna be fans who are gonna be like, I want more of the same thing. And I guess it sounds, when I say I wouldn't mind more of these games, I guess it sounds like a fanboy going, I want the same thing and the thing that I already know and nothing else. But it's more like, please give me more people who can overcome these issues so I can feel better. Of all these audios, Chimes of Midnight is by far the closest to a Silent Hill story. In some ways, it kind of looks like Silent Hill 4 too. You have people trapped in a place, trapped in a building, and they are repeatedly dying, but some of them don't stay dead. and you're trapped and you can't leave, and you're with your friend, and she's part of the problem. And if one of these people hadn't committed suicide, this wouldn't have happened either. There are some common themes. It's all I'm saying. Oh, I only have a couple of minutes left, so if I don't finish the line art on camera, it's okay. You've seen most of it anyway. So I'm not sure when it's gonna cut. It's gonna cut in 2 minutes. Let's try to make this quick. I think I can do this. Before playing Silent Hill 2, I'm not gonna try to sound dramatic here. I was plagued by nightmares, and really bad ones. I'm not gonna talk about them, but really, really bad. And while playing Silent Hill 2, which was the first Silent Hill I played, they got worse. They got way, way worse. And near the end, they stopped completely. I mean completely. It was night and day. So what I'm saying is Silent Hill 2, cheapest therapy ever. We can do it. We can do it. No, I can do it. There's only 20 seconds left, so I'm not sure when I'm gonna upload this, but anyway, you're gonna see this on my friend's video, Dr. Key.